and welcome everyone. Lovely to have you all and to see all your lovely faces this evening. We'll make a start in Supta Baddha Konasana, so reclining bound ankle pose. Grab yourself a pillow or something for underneath the head. Grab yourself something for underneath the knees. It might even be a second pillow that you use, and just kind of bunch it up so it lifts the knees up a little more. And then keep a blanket close by in case you want to cover the body. So really don't want to get cold. Hopefully your house is nice and warm and toasty so that when you lie down you're super comfortable, super warm. And we'll just bring ourselves back flat onto the mat to start with. So if you lay yourself back, just drawing your pillow or cushion, whatever you're using, underneath the head, right up into the curve of your neck. So it really supports that area. And then press down through the soles of the feet, lift the hips up, tuck the tailbone underneath, and then we join the soles of the feet together and let the knees open out to the sides. So I recommend using a pillow or something that is as wide as your mat for your Baddha Konasana position, just so it supports the outer thighs gently. The other way you can do it is, if your cushion or pillow isn't that big, is to just put one under each thigh. So you still have both legs supported, but it's just a slightly different way of setting up the mat. So once you have everything in place, then you've made all those last little adjustments to get nice and comfortable, then bring the hands onto your belly. Allow the eyes to close down. And just give yourself one deep breath here, inhaling through the nose and letting it go through the mouth. Starting to feel the body weight dropping down into your mat and into your support. Feeling that movement underneath the hands. That gentle rise and fall, that movement of the breath in the body. And just allowing yourself to melt down into those supports, feeling warm and cozy. Just giving yourself time to really arrive on your mat and into this position. And just tuning into the movements of the mind. Just noticing where the mind is running to this evening. Physically, it's a lot easier for us to switch off than it is mentally. I find it takes time to bring the attention inwards. So don't worry about trying to focus the mind just yet. Just think about that movement beneath your hands and start to scan through the body, switching off any areas that are feeling tight or tense, any muscle groups that are contracting or won't quite let go. Until you really find yourself feeling super relaxed in the body. And then start to slow down your breathing. That will happen naturally once the body becomes still. But then we want to slow it down even more so the breath becomes a little more conscious, a little more deliberate. Start to focus on your exhalation. So really emptying the lungs, feeling the navel dropping back towards the spine. And then allowing a nice deep inhalation to follow. Exhale slow and steady. Breathing in deeply, expanding the rib cage, the chest, feeling the belly rise. Exhale, chest, ribs, and belly softening back down. So your exhalations become longer than your inhalations. You might even pause at the end of your exhalation. Pause and wait until the body asks for that next breath in. And then as we move into this slower breathing rhythm, tune into the sound of your breath as well. You start to notice all aspects of the breath, the movement in the body, the sound, perhaps noticing the temperature, the cool air coming in and the warm air going out. So just giving yourself a few more rounds of breath in this position. Embracing this chance to slow down and turn the attention inwards. Giving ourselves that physical rest and mental rest. I'm just going to take 3 more deep breaths here. Up to you whether you breathe in and out through the nose, or perhaps you change and breathe in through the nose and let it go through the mouth. Keeping the jaw soft. And then at the end of your next exhale, just slowly brings the movement back into the fingertips and the toes. And then perhaps you start to roll out the wrists. When you're ready, floating the arms up overhead, keep the legs just as they are. If you can, a little longer, reaching the arms away behind you and then stretching your legs out, maybe moving them just one at a time if they're feeling a little bit stuck, and then roll the legs in and out a few times. Inhaling to reach and lengthen. And then as you exhale, hugging both knees up into your chest. Rolling across your mat, so rolling from side to side. Just massaging out lower, middle, and upper back. Bringing a little bit of movement into your body. It might just be really small movements. You might be completely still, or you might enjoy just massaging out the back line of your body. So we're going to take another full round of breath here with the knees into the body. And then when you are ready, just release the feet down for a moment. Slide out your cushion or bolster or whatever you were just using underneath the knees and pop it next to the right side of your mat. So just next to the right hip. Extend your right leg out, let it relax, let the foot fall to the side, and then hug your left knee up into your chest. So just give it a good hug in. Feel how that opens up your lower back. Really helps to release the lumbar spine down towards the floor. Start a little side to side movement. So just using the hands. Leg is relaxed, all the muscles around the hip are switched off. We're just doing a couple more each way, side to side. And then we're just going to use our right hand to roll that left leg across the body. And you have your cushion there, so you can let that leg relax onto the bolster. And just like I did just then, tuck your right hip bone all the way underneath you. So it's almost as though you start lying in the fetal position. Position your blanket, your pillow underneath the head, one hand on top of the other, and then just slowly start to open out into a twist. So you might need to move your right arm and shoulder blade further out to the right in order to make space for this left arm to open. So if you're close to the wall or other objects like me, you can bend that left arm into a stop sign position. Back of the hand might be touching the floor, it might be just floating. Or if you've got space, your arm might be straight out at shoulder height. So we're coming into the spinal twist. If your leg lifted up off of your cushion, just take a blanket or take something else to put underneath it, or lift your shoulder blade up away from the floor a little bit. So the aim is to have the leg well supported so that we can just work on releasing the thoracic spine. And you might find that your preference is to stay here. And just breathe into it, close the eyes or pop on your eye bag and just release. You might find that you prefer to stay moving a little bit. So you start to trace the fingertips back across the chest, rolling back onto the side of the body, one hand stacked over the other, and then starting to open all the way back out again. So really up to you. How do you feel like working this evening? Or maybe you want a bit of both. So maybe you sort of hold that open twist for a few breaths and then release if it gets a little intense at any point. Maybe you are still the whole time. Maybe you keep moving. So just whatever works for your body this evening. We're getting that gentle release into our thoracic spine. So right into the upper back. If you are spending a lot of time sitting down, working at a computer, working at home, hopefully this brings a little bit of relief into the spine and even into the chest. So we're lengthening the pectoral muscles that run across the chest. So we'll take another 5 deep breaths on this side, whether you are moving or perhaps just decide to become still, totally up to you. tune in, feel that rise and fall in the tummy. And we've got a final full breath where we are. And then we're just going to roll across to the side of the body again. If you're using a bolster or cushion, just take that out from between the knees, roll yourself onto the back of the body, and just shift your pelvis back into the center of your mat so it lines up with the shoulders, spine, and hips, so straight down the middle of the mat. Whatever you use underneath the legs, just pick that up and pop it down next to your left hip. Taking a moment there to hug both knees into the chest and just feel the spine releasing down. Just coming back to center, so back into the stabilizing pose, Upanasana, knee to chest. Body is symmetrical, spine is decompressing. Take another breath in. As you breathe out, extending your left leg along the mat, relax the foot, let it fall out to the side. And then just getting into your right hip. Maybe just taking the leg from side to side. Hands are doing the work, the leg is relaxed, all the muscle groups switched off around the thigh and hip. Just doing a couple more each way. And then when you're ready, use the left hand, roll that leg across your body, tuck your left hip underneath you a little more, and then let that leg relax down onto your supports. Depending on your body, you might need more, you might need less on this side, or it might be the same. So just adjust if you need to add extra things in, do. And then just taking a moment there, rolling to the side of your body, one hand stacked over the other. And then slowly sliding right fingertips across the chest, starting to open out into your twist. Maybe the arm comes straight out at shoulder height. Maybe you have the arm bent into more of a stop sign position. Breathing there, just taking a couple of breaths and scanning through, looking for areas of tension that you can release. So anything that you're holding on to, any muscle groups that have contracted. And then we'll start to release, coming back into the fetal position, easing out of that rotation. Deep breath in, big breath out as you start opening out into that spinal twist again. And then up to you again, perhaps mirroring what you did on the other side. Did you keep moving? Did you make it into more of a dynamic twist? Rolling to your side to ease out, and then opening back out into that thoracic twist. Or perhaps you choose to stay still the whole time, just breathing into this rotation. Or maybe a little bit of both. Maybe you are moving a little bit, but then holding that twist for a lot longer. Wherever you are, keep a lot of the focus on your breath. Inhaling, ribcage expands, we're breathing into the belly. And then as we exhale, we're trying to increase the number of points of contact that we have with our mat. So really sinking everything down into the ground a little more. As we inhale, we might feel a sense of lift, body becoming lighter. And as we exhale, we are letting go and letting everything become a bit heavier. So whether you are moving or holding your supine twist. We're taking 5 last deep breaths. Finding as much softness in your body as you can. And then if you are out in your twist, just start to roll back onto the side of your body, sliding your bolster out from between the knees, and then just making your way carefully back onto the mat. So the body might feel a little bit stuck after that twist. You might just need a moment there, grounding the feet. Whenever you are ready to hug the knees in, interlace the hands around your shins and just let the spine release down into the floor. The pelvis as well, so just allowing those areas to release, to level out a bit more. Perhaps taking a little rock from side to side if you want to give yourself a massage. Konasana, this pose is a pose in its own right, so really good for decompressing the spine. Tend to add that little rock from side to side just to massage everything out. And also if you're like me and you have a bit of a sensitive lower back, it helps to click everything back into place. So I always get a good clunk or two when I do this. So we're going to ease ourselves onto the right side of the body, pausing there for a moment, and then just pressing into that left hand to bring yourself all the way up. Then we'll do a little bit of a hippie one. So keep a bolster, cushion, or pillow next to your right hip. So I'll do your mirror image for this next one. So we're going to start with the soles of the feet grounded and then nice and wide. So this next one is a bit of a hip and lower back release. So just start with the feet nice and wide and then drop both knees down to the right. So we'll do a little bit of adjusting with the legs. So bear with me while we get this one set up. If you're on carpet, this should be nice and soft, but if you're on a hardwood floor or a harder surface, feel free to actually sit yourself on a blanket. Just unfold one and pop it over your mat. So we're going to take one hand either side of our right thigh and look to the side, look in the direction that right knee is pointing. And we're just going to have a look down and make some adjustments here. So we're going to bring the knee straight in line with our hip bone. So just make sure that's aligned. And then flex your right foot and check that you have a 90-degree angle in the back of the leg. So we'll be lining up our shin so it's parallel with one of the edges of our mat. So in my case, it's parallel with the short edge of my mat. For you, it might be the long edge. So that front leg is nicely aligned, and we're going to do the same with the back leg. So I'm going to move my back leg back further so that the knee is straight out from the hip. And then I'm going to align the ankle so it's in line with the knee. So essentially we've got two 90-degree angles in the backs of the knees. So hands are either side of that right thigh. We're letting that right sit bone drop down into the floor. So your other sit bone might be lifting up away from the mat. That's really normal. Keep the feet flexed, walk the hands forward, and grab a bolster or cushion or something just to pop underneath your elbows. Something to give you a little bit of support. If the hips are more open, then you might want to get rid of those supports and bring the forearms down onto the mat. So use whatever you need to use in order to hold the body just at the edge of that wall of tension. So if you bring the forearms down onto the floor, but the hips are tighter, it's going to be way too intense. And you're better off starting a little bit higher and then just working your way down there over the next couple of minutes. We're trying to square the chest, so belly, ribs, and chest over this right thigh and right knee. So we don't want to be too far back, squaring the chest down. And then just breathing into that right hip. You might feel it stretching around the back of the pelvis or into your lower back a little bit. Use the exhales to let go of tension and release down. Some of you might even have the forehead resting on the back of the hands. It really just depends on your hip. So this is a variation of pigeon pose. Quite often when we come into pigeon pose, we can get complaints that there's too much compression at the knee. And actually with the angle of the pose, it can be a bit harder to get into the glutes and get into the hip muscles. So this keeps our joints all aligned so that the stretch goes right into the hips. So we're going to stay here for a few more rounds of breath. You might be in the right spot, in which case you don't need to do anything, just stay where you are. If you'd like a slightly deeper sensation and you're not quite at that edge, or that edge of tension in the body has moved a little bit, then you take one hand to steady your foot so it doesn't slide everywhere. And then instead of having your chest over that right knee, you try and bring your chest towards your ankle instead. So like me, you might be quite far away from it. The intention is there, even if the action doesn't or can't follow. So maybe we're thinking head to forehead over the ankle instead of heart to the ankle. But sending the heart forward just means that we keep a little more length so we don't really round and arch the spine too much. So it's just a nice, I don't know if nice is the right word, it probably doesn't feel that nice, but it's a really effective way of stretching any tension around the hip and tension that creeps into the lower spine as a result of those tight hip muscles. So just breathe here, find softness in your shoulders and around your jaw. Relax your face. Slow down every exhale. Last 3 deep breaths on this side, breathing all the way through it, softening your jaw completely. When you're ready to, hands come back onto the mat first if you're down on forearms. Then we roll ourselves up a little more. Keep the head down so neck is in line with the spine. And then just ease yourself out, one step at a time, taking the hands behind your body, and then just ease out the knees and the hips. So just a little side to side movement. If the body felt a bit stuck coming out of that one, really normal. When we're holding yin poses, we're getting into connective tissue as well. So it can feel like we are stuck there at the end. So give yourself a couple of window wipers side to side just to get the blood flowing back into that right hip again. And then let's drop the knees down to the other side, so down to the left. So you can start with the feet quite wide, drop the knees down, and then just place one hand either side of that left thigh. So again, we have to do a little bit of reorganizing of the body here just to keep the joints safe. So you can see my front heel is too close to my back thigh, so I need to move that foot forward. I need to flex that left foot, so we've got 90-degree angles at all the joints, hip lined up with the knee, knee with the ankle. And then back leg, I just need to bring my leg a little further back so that hip bone lines up, and then again moving the ankle in line with the knee. Both feet flex, so that protects the ankle joints. Sit nice and tall. Don't worry about the asymmetry of this pose. One sit bone is down, one is lifted. And then feel like you're laying belly, ribs, chest over your left thigh. So coming forward. Again, maybe you have a pillow or 2 or 3, however many you need to give yourself a bit of cushioning underneath the elbows. Again, be careful that you're not falling too far back. We want to keep equal weight down, either through the hands if we're up higher, or down through the elbows and forearms if we are coming down. So avoiding rolling yourself back. And just taking a few deep breaths there. Initially, there'll be a little bit of resistance from the body and from the muscles. You might find other muscle groups tensing up and becoming a little bit tighter. But otherwise, slow down the breath. Closing the eyes can help, or bringing a little bit of support and underneath for the forehead. And just noticing if there's any difference on this side to how it felt on the other side. Is it tighter? Is it less accessible? Or is it feeling a bit more open, a bit easier to be here? Usually that is reflected in our breathing. So stick with a slow, steady breathing rhythm. Releasing tension and creating space with every out-breath. If you think you are just in the right spot, no need to move, no need to change anything. But again, if you did want to work with a little more sensation around the hip and lower back, hold the foot. Bring your chest towards the ankle or head towards the ankle. Again, we want to avoid rounding too much. And it can be quite a strong stretch. It can actually feel like it's radiating out from around that left hip and going into your lower back and even going down the outside of your thigh. So if that feels like it's a little bit too much for you, ease out again. Or if you feel like you're just in the right spot, see if you can find softness around your shoulders, your jaw, your face. Keep the breath flowing. Inhaling. Exhale, melting that chest down towards the floor. I'm just going to take our last 3 deep breaths here. And then at the end of your 3rd exhale, use the hands lifting up, walking the hands all the way back, taking them behind your body. And again, very slowly if you need to, just get that release side to side with your legs. So getting the blood flowing again around the hips, knees, ankles, any joints that are feeling a little bit stiff. And then once the legs are feeling all right, we're going to extend them out along the mat. Just give them a little bit of a shake there. And we'll actually, while we are seated, let's come into our child's pose first. I was going to do a hamstring opener, but we'll kind of make our way back down onto the mat in a while and do that then. So we're going to take a wide leg child's pose. And you've got options and different ways that you can prop this pose. So the best way for sensitive knees is to lift up, pop a blanket, a pillow, a cushion right into the backs of your knee joint. So really tuck it in close to the knee joint and then sit the hips back onto the heels. Knees are hip width or mat width apart, so you can go a little bit wider if you need to. And then that should take the pressure out of the knees. Same if you're on a hard floor, put a blanket or something in underneath the shins and the tops of the feet, and that will just soften it for you. From here, we're going to stretch the arms forward. You've got one option to pull a bolster right into the belly, lay down onto your chest, and just turn the head to the side. So this is your supported variation. You could also opt to turn your cushion or bolster, whatever you're using, across the mat. Use it as a rest for your elbows and your forehead, and just let the chest melt through. So actually this is a really nice upper back opener as well as giving the benefits of our child's pose for the hips and the lower spine. And then your final variation is nothing underneath the front of the body. So there isn't a best option, there isn't a more advanced option. There's just the best option for your body this evening. So do you want more support? Do you want less support? Where would you be happy? And it's just about adjusting, your first few breaths here. You've got to listen to that feedback from your body. Is this comfortable? If not, how can I make it comfortable? And if I can't make it comfortable, then it's probably not the variation for me. Prop yourself up a little more. It doesn't mean that we won't have sensation. Maybe you get a really big stretch to the tops of the feet, around the ankles. Maybe for you, this is really intense in the hips. So there are always ways we can add more props in or take them out depending on what we need. So adjust, use what you have around you. And then just letting the forehead melt down onto the mat or into your bolster. If you have a pillow underneath the belly, maybe you've turned the head to the side. Just allowing your neck and shoulder area to soften. And with the head down, you can tune into the sound of our breathing. Inhaling and exhaling to really soften and let go. You're just creating your own little space here. Keeping the eyes softly closed. And again, just encouraging the attention to your breath. And it can take time for us to switch off mentally. The mind might be caught up in your workday, in your to-do list, the latest Netflix episode. But just see if you can do the work and draw the mind to your breath. It requires effort and focus. Going to give ourselves another 5 deep breaths here. And then taking your time. So get to the end of your 5 breaths. And whenever you are ready to come out, just slide your elbows, your hands back, and ease yourself up. And then we're going to open the backs of the knees. So coming to 4-point kneeling, moving out your supports. And then just slide one leg back, open the back of the knee, maybe give it a little bit of a bend and a stretch there. Again, getting that blood flow back in and around the joints and connective tissues of the knees. Same with your left side, just alternating when you're ready. And then releasing all the way back. Send your hips over to one side, swing the legs out around in front of you. And if you have a strap handy, have it next to your mat so it's easy to grab. If you don't have a strap, don't worry, you can do this without one. You can just use your hands. So have something for underneath your knees. We will stretch out our hamstrings, we will get nice and relaxed, and then we will move into our final relaxation with a little guided meditation. So once you've got everything ready to go, maybe a blanket to cover your chest or upper body, bring yourself down onto your mat. And then just bend your right knee into the chest. Point the toes. Either interlace the hands behind the thigh or loop your strap around the ball of the foot. So either way works. Either is good, whether you're using a strap or just using your hands. We want to relax the shoulders. And we want to find a micro bend or a deep bend at the right knee. And we want to switch everything else off. So being as passive as possible. Allowing the eyes to close, finding a gap between upper and lower teeth. And then gradually we ease into that hamstring opener. We're just going to give ourselves 10 deep breaths on this side, creating a little bit of space in the back of the leg. You can try, if you like, to engage the antagonistic muscles. So anytime we're stretching and opening our hamstrings, the back of the leg, we're contracting and shortening the front of the thigh, so the quads. So you can engage the quads a little bit to find more release in the hamstrings. And the same, whenever we bend the knee, shorten, contract the hamstrings, we'll be lengthening the quads. So you can always use a little bit of contraction of the quads, front of the thigh, to help release your hamstrings a little more. And in fact, it's the better way to work. If your hamstrings are a bit tighter, it's better to work that way, engaging the quads, rather than to just keep pulling deeper into it. So a few more rounds of breath where you are. Feeling your back releasing into the ground. Should feel like it's decompressing the lower spine. No tension there, no strain in your muscles. One last deep breath, inhaling. As you exhale, releasing the interlace or sliding your band off. Bend that knee back into the chest and then extend that leg out along your mat, just allowing the legs to release for a moment. Hands onto the belly, and then we breathe. We're taking 3 deep breaths here in this rebound pose. Bringing the body back to center, back to symmetry. Last inhale. And as you exhale, folding your left knee up into your chest. Again, we pull the knee into the chest first. Feel how it releases the back down towards the floor. And then we keep those muscles nice and soft as we either interlace the hands behind that left thigh, or we loop a strap or belt or something around the ball of the left foot. So again, wherever you are, come into it with a bent knee. So either a micro bend or a deeper bend if the hamstrings are a little bit tighter. Work to your edge. So your edge is where the body deems the resistance of the body to be, the wall of tension. So your edge isn't where the ego deems it to be. If you feel that you should be in the full splits, doesn't necessarily mean that the body will let you go there. So listen to the body over what the ego says. Close the eyes, relax your shoulders, and tune into the rhythm of your breath. The breath tells all, really. If we are pushing and forcing and being a bit aggressive with the body, the breath will reflect that. The tension in the upper body will reflect that. And equally, we don't want to avoid sensation. So if you're falling asleep here, maybe you need to ease into it a little more. So finding that balance between the 2 points. We feel stretch, we feel sensation, but at the same time we can breathe and find ease in the rest of the body. Let's give ourselves another 5 deep breaths on this side. Breathing in, breathing out. Last inhale. When you're ready to release, take your strap off or release the interlace of the hands. Release that knee back into the chest. And then extend that leg out over your bolster. Stretch the legs out, take them quite wide, let the feet fall out to the sides. And position your bolster or your cushion so your lower back feels supported. So we'll have a curve in the lower back. How defined that curve depends on the structure of our body, but also our alignment, how we hold ourselves. And so if you need more underneath the knees, go ahead and add an extra pillow or two until you feel your lower back releasing. If not flat to the mat, then kind of lightly resting on it. You can have the arms resting at your sides. You can bring the hands onto the belly. Just make sure that your neck and head feel well supported and that you are warm. Wrap yourself up. As we change from one season to another, as the temperature drops, daylight hours get shorter, it's a really nice time to turn inwards, to check in, to see what kinds of things, what ways of thinking, what modes of behavior we want to let go of, what we want to embrace for the winter season. It's not just the changing of the seasons, it's a big change for the whole world at the moment. Perhaps just taking this time initially to set an intention. And maybe it's a simple intention to take what you cultivate on your mat off with you into your day-to-day life. So cultivating that patience and acceptance and non-judgment during your yoga practice and applying those skills in your work or family life. So just make sure that you are comfortable, that you are warm, and that you have enough support under and around your body. And then allowing the eyes to close down. Scanning through And finding that calm, safe space within. And not only is the body completely relaxed and at ease, but the mind is focused on the breath. And therefore we are present. Focusing just on being, not on doing. With every exhale, we let go a little more, dropping into that deeper relaxation. Breathing rhythm slows right down. Feels like the whole body is melting down into the ground. Allowing yourself to be transported to the here and now by focusing on your breath. Unwinding and unraveling any tension in your body. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Focusing on the rhythmic rise and fall of your breath as you inhale and exhale fully. Noticing how this breath feels in your body. Noticing how it feels to be relaxed. What sensation, what physical sensation you feel in the body. You feel any tingling, that natural pulsing of the heartbeats in the body. So allowing the whole body to be filled with that sense of peace and calm. Feeling yourself centering, balancing, and becoming present. Restoring yourself to that true state, that one of calm and peace. Feeling the whole body relaxing, whole body at ease, whole body grounded. And now we have returned to our natural flow of breath in and out through the nose. Just observing that rhythm. Feeling that movement in your body, belly, ribs, and chest, rising and falling. And just allowing the attention to move back up to the surface. Imagine you were looking down at your body from above. Imagining in your mind's eye the position of your body, visualizing the supports, the various surfaces holding your body, supporting you. And then slowly start to move and stretch back into the space around you. Of course, if you are really happy and comfortable and warm where you are, and you just want to extend the length of your relaxation, feel free to stay where you are. But if you would like to slowly make your way up to sitting, take time to roll yourself over onto the side of your body first. Take a breath there, inhale and exhale. And then bringing yourself up to any comfortable seat. And if you're comfortable keeping the eyes closed, then keep them closed. If you prefer to soften the gaze in front of you, open them up. Sitting tall, just giving yourself time to adjust to being upright again. Checking in with body, breath, and mind. Really feeling refreshed, re-energized, and reconnected to the body. Let's join the hands together at heart center. Taking a breath in, sit a little taller. As you exhale, head down towards the heart. Sealing your practice with this gesture of gratitude. Thank you all for joining me this evening. Namaste. Lovely to have you all. If you'd like to just stay where you are and relax a little longer, don't even have to get up. When I end the meeting, it will just switch it off for you. You can stay lying down if you like. Otherwise, if you're off to make a lovely dinner on this cold night, enjoy. Have a lovely evening, and I will see you all really soon.
Thanks, Emma. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Emma. Have a lovely night.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a great evening.